Hey y'all, so I wanted to get on here today and talk about my religious and spiritual journey while doing my makeup. Let's get into it, alright? First of all, I am by no means a makeup artist. I don't claim to be something I'm not. Before I get into it, I first want to say I respect everyone's beliefs. I feel like as long as you're not hurting anybody, then believe what you want to believe. Like, there's 7 billion people, probably more now, on this planet, and we're not all gonna think the same. We're not all gonna believe the same things. It's only logical to just let folks do what they want to do instead of coming at it from an angle of what I think is right or is better than what you think, and you should believe what I believe and think what I think because you're wrong and I'm right. It's just really like, as long as there's respect and understanding between people, then I feel like that's all that's needed. That's all that's necessary for us to thrive, really. I really feel that way. Disclaimer out the way, my makeup brushes are so dirty. I should not be doing my makeup with these brushes, but I don't, fuck it. So I was raised as a Christian, me and my siblings. So my mom raised us in the church, but my mom was not super religious. She was not super religious at all, but we was definitely in the church every Sunday and Wednesday. Okay, Bible study, Sunday school, all that. I actually enjoyed going to church. Like, I sung in a youth choir. We had a youth choir and it was fun. I mean, it wasn't fun sitting in there for long hours and stuff like that, but it was fun being able to sing in the choir with my friends, that I grew up with, and just spending time with them, having fun, going to choir practice, singing at other churches, taking church trips. Like, all that stuff was fun to do, and I enjoyed doing all of those things. But I do remember at a young age, I always used to question my faith. Like, I was always asking, like, about things that just didn't seem to make sense to me. For example, like, I remember asking, if Moses is a Jew and we learn about Moses in the Bible and we talk about Moses, then why aren't we Jews? I was like, why wouldn't we want to be Jews too then? Like, isn't that the right religion? Isn't that the right thing? I remember thinking that when I was young and asking those questions. And I remember asking, okay, so if Christianity is the correct or the right belief, that means that everybody who believes something else is going to hell? Like, that don't seem right. Like, because people just are born in other parts of the world and they just grow up differently and just have different beliefs. Like, why is that wrong? I just never felt like that sat right with me in my spirit. Certain little things like that. I used to feel like nobody in the church really actually like abided by all the rules that we were supposed to abide by. I just didn't understand like why that was. I remember feeling like, I don't know, just kind of like fearful a little bit. Just a little fearful of religion and like a little fearful of like, the dauntingness of going to hell and stuff like that, right? I just remember being like, okay, well, it seems like everybody is going to hell, like, because it's really strict and nobody is really following all these rules for real. Another thing is that when I would ask these questions out loud, I would always kind of like get like pushback, and like it was made as if I was wrong for questioning my faith. And was so, never question God, never question the Bible or religion, right? And so I feel like eventually I just kind of stopped questioning it and just really was just like, okay, well, whatever then. Like, it's whatever. This is just whatever. And I felt like a lot of the answers that I got was kind of like scapegoats almost. Like, oh, it's just like that just because it's just supposed to be that way, or or it just is that way just because. Like, I got a lot of just becauses, and I didn't like that. But I took it for what it was because I didn't want to question my faith. I didn't want to feel as if I was going against my belief. I didn't want to feel like that. I didn't like feeling like that. So anyway, time passes, and I remember being a teenager in high school, and I remember my English teacher told us one time that she studied religion in college. I remember her saying that religion was pretty much like all the same story in like all the cultures. Like, it was a story about a man and a woman, and it was a story about water, overtaking the earth. And I just thought that was so cool. Like, I'll never forget that. That was just a moment where it just made sense to me. Like, it just made sense, it really just resonated with me hearing that. And I just thought that was really cool and interesting. So fast forward a few years, I began to learn about things like universal laws, like the law of energy, the law of attraction, the law of manifestation. And I just remember my whole life completely changed after learning about that stuff. I loved that information. I loved the idea that I could create whatever life that I want. I love the thought that I can attract whatever I want. Like, these laws are so cool. Why haven't I heard about them? Like, why have I never heard about these laws before? That just don't make sense to me, because they're beautiful and they feel true and they feel right. And I remember just having such a sense of happiness and understanding when it came to learning about this new information. It almost it did give me a sense of relief. I got a sense of relief because life then made sense. And during this time, I was doing a lot of questioning. Like my existence, questioning life itself, questioning life's purpose, like those big questions that we may venture to sometimes. I was in that era, and I remember this was also the era of COVID. And COVID was a very much so like a reflection era, because everybody was at home, shut down, and that's what, like, all we had time to do was just sit there and reflect. We didn't have much else that we were able to do. So with that being said, I just was doing a lot of reflection, and that's when I began to receive this information. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. And like, the type of person that I am, like, I love learning and I love knowledge, and I really wanted to like know more. I had to know more. I had to understand what this information was about, the root of it. Like, when did it originate? Who first discovered this stuff? Like, I had to know more because it was so intriguing, so interesting. It resonated so well, and it made so much sense to me. And I needed more of it in my life, because it was just, I was being told that I could create whatever life that I wanted. I had never been told that before, and I was told that I could attract whatever energy I wanted into my life. Literally any type of energy. And this was just all crazy new information for me. So I was fascinated by this. I was just intrigued. At this point in my life, I started to even question my own religion again. I started to just ask myself important questions. And I started to have discernment, like asking discerning type of questions. How does my religion make me feel? Do I truly believe and want to accept everything within this religion? Because I feel like it's man-made. I feel like it may not have been created with the best intentions. I feel like I'm not sure about this being my belief system. I don't know right now, because I'm seeking new information. And now that I think about it, I didn't even get to choose my beliefs in my religion. It was chosen for me. None of us really get to choose. We're just born into whatever our parents believe, and they just bring us up on whatever they were brought up on, and whatever their parents were brought up on, and their parents, and on and on and on. And I never even got to stop and say, hey, like, what do you think about it? What do you feel about these beliefs? Like, is this really what you want? Or are you just believing it because you were told to? Because everybody else before you believed it. So I started to ask those questions, and this was really hard for me. Like, I went through a hard time. I went through a rough patch with these questions, right? Because I identified as a Christian, but I was coming up on this crossroads. I was coming up on this Y in the road where I really had to really decide whether or not if this is really what I wanted to accept for myself as a grown adult with new knowledge, new experiences, new information. And I remember crying. I remember crying a lot during this time. I remember just being really sad and really depressed because, I mean, if you think about it, my entire life, I had been told that if I were to ever do what I was doing in those moments, I would be burning eternally in hell. And so I'm not only or just necessarily fearful. I feel bad. I feel bad because I feel like I'm being a bad person, and that I'm doing a bad thing, because I'm genuinely considering my belief system and my religion. Like, oh my God. And these ideals have been beaten to my brain since before I was even born. Like, my mom is going to church with me in her womb. You know what I'm saying? So I've been receiving this information since a fetus. And so, by the time I'm 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, like, the brainwashing has taken real effect on me. So the idea of cutting loose this religion was really scary. It was really scary. But then I remember asking a good friend of mine at the time these questions, and I was telling them stuff. And my friend at the time my friend is a Christian, and my friend was like, I can ask my pastor some questions for you if you'd like. I was like, yeah, just ask some questions and just tell me what he says. So he would go to church on Sunday, and I would have a few questions, and then he would report back whatever the pastor said. And the only question that I remember the answer to was a question that was like, well, is it okay if I say the universe instead of saying God? And the pastor was like, well, why would you say the universe? God created the universe. So, why wouldn't you just say God? Like, basically he was saying it's like you placing something above God, basically. And I was just like, that's not how I feel when I say it. And I remember like crying and being upset. And I remember my friend was like, Avanti, you're good, bro. You're not a bad person. You're not going to hell. You're too good of a person to go to hell. Like, you good. Like, stop stressing about this and stop worrying about it. And that stuck with me. And that'll always stick with me, because that honestly gave me the courage to allow my intuition to take effect. I love blending with my finger because I just feel like I get more precision, and I feel like the warmth of my finger like helps the makeup like melt into my skin, and it just helps with like the seamlessness and the coverage. But anyway, my friend told me that, and I honestly felt a sense of relief when my friend told me that, but I was still in the state of mind of just being confused, like not understanding everything fully at that point. And then I started to realize a beautiful, magnificent, omnipotent thing, which was, bro, I don't have to have religion in order to have God. bruh, okay, like, okay. So then it's like, I don't even know how, but I just started to be introduced to like this new idea of like not having to have separating religion from God. Because I started to just realize religion is man made. Man created religion. Man created this book that is the Bible. Man wrote this thing. Man could have put whatever they wanted into this book. I don't know. I've just accepted it because I was told to accept it because everyone else before me accepted it. But truly and really, I don't know who put what here. I don't even know who wrote this. Like, I don't even know, you know what I'm saying? So it started to make sense to me that I didn't need it. I'm like, you know what? God placed itself within me. God placed itself within nature. God is nature. So I can just go within to find God. I don't have to go through a third party. I don't have to have a middleman to connect with God. I don't have to go to church to connect with God. I can go within myself. My body is the temple. God created this body. God didn't create that church. Not directly. I'm directly from source. So at any point, I have the ability to connect with that, to connect with God, to connect with source through myself. I can connect with God through nature. I can go walk outside and be with God. I can be with God everywhere I go because God is within me. And I was just like, life is beautiful, bro. Life makes sense, bro. Now, this whole thing is starting to make sense to me. Like, now I'm getting it. I'm getting what it's supposed to be about, right? Because at this point, I'm starting to realize the pieces are starting to fall together for me and things are starting to make sense. So I'm still at this Y in the crossroads, but I'm starting to lean towards the path of no religion because I'm realizing and understanding that religion is not necessary in order to have God. You can have God without religion. And as a matter of fact, especially now with the stuff that I know, I believe religion is really corrupt. I think that it was intentionally created for corrupt reasons. I really think that that is a whole agenda in and of itself, which is another video, to be honest with you. But I really think that though. And so once I started to have these beliefs, like it started to get easier and easier for me to realize like, and not everyone look at the universal laws and feel like, oh, I need to drop my religion. But with the type of person that I am a very analytical type of person. Okay, I'm a Virgo. I'm very analytical. So what I mean by that is I knew that it wouldn't make sense for me to wholeheartedly have both in my life because I really feel like religion is limiting. I feel like it limits your relationship with God because you are relying on another source to have the relationship for you. And so what cutting religion out did for me was just cut out that middleman. Really, religion is just one's interpretation of what God is. And so I can have my own individual interpretation of what God is for me and my experience with God, which kind of goes back to you can't force everybody to believe the same thing. We all have different minds and different experiences and a different perspective. So yeah, that's that. Dang, where was I? I get so sidetracked. So for me, I had to cut one off, right? And it ended up being my religion because I felt like my religion was limiting. I felt like it was fear-based. And, you know, I don't want to claim that a religion that makes me feel fearful. Okay, I only want to hold beliefs that uplifts me and make me feel happy about life, and that makes me feel happy about living, and that makes me feel fucking happy, bro. And honestly, religion didn't really do that for me, because I was scared to do any damn thing. I was scared to damn breathe, because I thought I was gonna go to hell for it.
Your pussy will perish with you in hell. May your pussy perish with you. May your smooth pussy, creamy pussy, and tight pussy perish with you.
It was easy for me once I realized that, again, those discerning questions of what if I just strip everything, society's ideas, or my parents, or whoever, or whatever, if I strip all that and I just look at it at what it is, and I ask myself, which one do I like the best and which one makes me feel the best, it's gonna be to drop the religion, because it's so contradicting to me, in my opinion. It's super contradicting. There's so many unanswered questions and so many questionable things within the Bible. But when it came to these universal laws, it's just like everything always comes full circle. Everything always just makes sense. Like, it makes sense for me to hear that God is within me, so I can go within to find God. It really don't make sense to me that I'm expected to go to a church every Sunday to find God. Like, I don't want you to tell me about God. I want to experience God on my own, because I don't know you, and I don't know your intentions, and I just don't know, okay? So I want to go do it on my own, right? I don't need you to do that. I thought it was awesome that I could have God without having religion. And then I really think that religion is just a lot of things, but I think that it was really created to be used for another divide and conquer agenda, to be honest. Y'all know the divide and conquer agenda is just another way to separate us from one another. Although we're more alike than we are different, I really believe that it's a form of control. It's easier to control society when you control what they believe. Also, I always say, to play the game with the big boys, you got to know how the big boys play. The people who are controlling the world right now know and understand these universal laws. They know and understand that what you think and what you believe is whatever you will create for yourself, because life is created through thoughts and manifests through thoughts. It first starts in your inner world, and then it manifests into your outer world, into this physical reality. And so if I control what's in your mind and what you think, then I control how you manifest and what you manifest, right? So, as I'm growing and as I'm just learning different stuff, I'm just starting to realize this. And then I'm just starting to see the agendas, and then I'm just watching the agendas play out, and I'm like, bro, that's crazy. Like, this shit is like legit real. Like, we in a whole movie, bro, with villains. But anyway, and just to be completely honest with you, I do respect everyone's beliefs and believe that everyone can and should believe what they want to believe, as long as they're not hurting anyone. But I do feel like religion holds us back as a society. I just do. I think it's limiting. I think it limits our experience that we can have with God. For example, like, there's people in my life, or just friends that I'm with on social, who thinks that like meditation is like not a good thing, for example, because of like religion. Like, I don't know, it just really brainwashes you about things that don't really matter. Like, who cares if you like meditate, you know what I'm saying? Just little things like that, like, it's super strict. I'm from the South, so like, you know how it is. Like, in the South, superstition and like, it's just so much more rigid, and it's just so much more like, taken more seriously, like everything, including religion. I just feel like it's limiting. Like, I just do. And I think that like how I envision it is like Star Wars. Like, no matter where you go in the galaxy, everybody says, "May the Force be with you."
The Force?
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
And it's just an understanding that God is just like this beautiful, wonderful, the most high, the highest, energetic, loving, unconditional loving, orgasmic vibration that there is and ever will be, that we all come from. And it don't get any better than that. And it's just the idea that we all come from that source. And that's it. Like, we all come from that source, and we all are grateful for that source. And may the source be with you. Maybe I should trademark that. May the source be with you. Because like when I started watching Star Wars several years ago, I just thought it was cool that they say that, because this was like during the era too where I was like, you know, questioning my faith and stuff. And I was just like that resonated with me. And I know I seen that at the right time, because like God is showing me signs. Like I just look back on my life and I just see that God was just placing gems in front of me, you know, because I was opening myself up to the possibility of it being different, to the possibility of life being better. And God was like, yes, yes, yes. And giving me knowledge and giving me information that was opening me up to be able to have a better relationship with myself and have a better relationship with God. My relationship with God right now is way better than it has ever been in the years that I was going to church, because I stopped relying on outside sources to teach me and tell me about God. I just started asking God directly, like, God, what it do? Like, God, what is up? Like show me, tell me, please, because I want to know. Because the information that I have now and that I'm getting from these other sources, that I'm getting from church, that I'm getting from other people, it's not given. It ain't given. Like, it's not given what it's supposed to give. Like, I want my religion to be happy. I want to be confident in my religion. I want to know and understand my religion thoroughly. I don't want my religion to seem contradicting to me. I don't want to always be questioning my religion, you know? So allowing myself to be open to the possibility that I could have a belief system where I didn't feel that way about it, God was able to show me, like, yes, you can. There are these beliefs that's governed by the universe, these laws that's governed by the universe, that I bet you'll fuck with more than you do these other beliefs that you were brought up to believe. And that's what it was for me. I also used to like wonder, like, okay, what did my ancestors used to believe? What did African people used to believe? They weren't Christians. They was not Christians, bro. Like, they weren't Christians till they came over here. They weren't Christians till they came over here. Those are just like, you know, the little things that I was just asking myself, like, and that just, you know, led to me questioning it and opening myself up to it. But my relationship right now with God is like great, honestly. It's magnificent. Anytime I have a question about literally anything, big, small, petty, anytime I have a question, I ask out loud, I write it down, you know, and I always feel like I get the answer at some point or another. I always feel like I get the answer. Always, always, always. And it's funny in the way that it comes. And when it does come, I thank God for the answer. And shit, I laugh about it. And because it's just always funny, because I'm like, bro, you always come through for me, bruh. And I fucks with it. You feel me? But yeah, my relationship with God is great, you know. And it would never be this if I was still holding on to religion. Like, it had me by the neck. Okay, it was strangling me and choking me. Okay, Christianity had me by the neck. I was shackled up, and it was so hard to break free from them chains. What Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed more slaves if only they knew they were slaves. That was low-key the vibe that it was giving. This eye seems more covered, but I don't know if it's because it's the lighting or if it's because it's really like more coverage on it. So aggy. So yeah, that's pretty much a short, I guess I don't know how long this video is gonna be, so let me not say short, but that's definitely my experience, a, 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 a summarized experience that I had with religion. And I feel free. Like, I feel so free. I feel so happy that I've like accepted. Honestly, it feels like truth. I feel happy that I've accepted truth into my life. I feel happy that I have a great relationship with God and that my life isn't based around things that I don't want it to be based around. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I've wanted to say about it. I think for the most part, I always get pissed because I'll be watching it back like, oh, I should have said this. I should have said this. That's my story. That's my personal story. And I just hope that maybe it will resonate with someone else. Maybe someone else will understand. Maybe someone else has a similar story and they don't want to feel alone. And maybe someone else, maybe this will just help someone else along their journey. Okay? Because I just want to be a good person. I just want to be happy, healthy. I want the world to be a good world. I want to build a great society, a better society. And I just want all things positive, to be honest. I just want everything to be as good and as best as it can be. And that's just my ultimate goal. Like, that's my life's mission. Like, that's what life is about for me. I would say a few more things, but I'm gonna save it because, to be honest with you, I'm starting to realize that the type of person that I am, I think I'm gonna be a person that like really ruffles people's feathers unintentionally. I mean, I hope I don't do it like in a bad way, but I think because basically my motto is to question everything. Oh, that was something else I wanted to say too. I didn't like the fact that I couldn't question things in religion without being scalded. Like, I'm allowed to ask questions. Like, asking questions is a great darn thing because if you don't ask, you won't know. If you don't ask, you'll fall for anything and believe anybody. Like, you better be asking some motherfucking questions. Because if you don't, anybody can be telling you anything. And if you just sit and believe everything that you told, you a fool. And I did not want to be that fool. So yeah, I was questioning it. But don't try to shame me because I'm questioning stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a good thing to question. I question myself all the time. I question my beliefs and things that pop up in my life all the time. As you should, because if you do not ask a question, you will not get an answer. So you better be asking questions. You better be asking God questions. You better be asking for truth and knowledge. Because if you don't, anybody can tell you anything and anybody can control you and control what you think and believe. And so, yeah, ask questions. All right, it's a great thing to ask questions. I remember telling my mama my belief systems, basically. She was just like, girl, that's just for right now. Like, I think this is just some new age mess that y'all kids got going on. Whatever, which I thought was funny. I really feel the opposite. I feel like this stuff is not new age. Anyway, as I was saying, I think that I meant to get people to, I'm sorry, I'll be all over the place. I think I meant to ruffle people's feathers, and I think that's a test for my own self for different reasons. I'll explain later, I guess. But I think I meant to get people to question themselves, and that's like it's gonna ruffle their feathers because it's gonna make you uncomfortable. It makes you uncomfortable. Like, when I was questioning my religion, my faith, my beliefs, it made me uncomfortable because I was changing. Change is not always comfortable. It's definitely necessary, but it is not always comfortable. And so because I was changing, it made me uncomfortable. And I didn't necessarily like it. It didn't feel good, okay? I felt uncomfortable, shit. So, yeah, that's something that I just be thinking about. And it's crazy. When I used to hear people say, like, they were, like, non-religious, I used to always assume that they didn't believe in God, basically, or just, I guess, was atheist or whatever, you know? That was, like, my thought process at the time. Like, oh, you're not religious? Okay, like, you don't believe in God. But now I'm that non-religious person, and I'm a testament to the fact that I am non-religious and I have a better relationship with God than I've ever had, and I am happier than I've ever been. True shit. And if you're happy with where you're at, then that's fine. Like I said, I respect it. I'm not trying to force you to to do nothing. That's what I had to tell my mom. Like, I'm not trying to force you to like think a different way or believe anything else. I'm just telling you about my experience and like what I believe and what I think. That's it. I'm just sharing my thoughts with you. I'm just sharing my life with you and my experiences. And sometimes I think like, what if I always thought this? What if I was raised on the belief that I create my own reality and I attract whatever energy that I'm emitting in the moment? Like, what if I was raised to think that? What if we was all raised to think that? Like, what do y'all think the world would look like? I just ask myself these questions, like, what would the world look like if there was no religion, but we just all had that Star Wars understanding of it's this one force or source that we're all connected to, quote unquote God, that is our connection to the world and to each other and to the earth and to nature and to animals. And that was like everyone's belief. Like, I just wonder what the world would be like at that time. Because one of the biggest fights, I think one of the like the two reasons why we have wars is because of land and religion. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences anyway. Nothing is a coincidence. So I have this raggedy sad pencil that I don't know where my sharpener is, so I'm gonna try to just work with it. Ooh, look how dry my lips look. Alright, let's moisturize them. Please. Okay, so I'm gonna use my Zenna liquid lipstick. I actually never used this before, so I hope I don't look crazy. Confession, I'm horrible at applying lipstick. I don't know where the hell my lips start and stop. Zenna girl. So yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you guys for listening. And I hope you get something out of this, something positive out of it, and something positive to take with you. This is a topic that I honestly love to talk about, and I know I'll talk about it a lot more because this was just a very like basic, just like summarization of my experience. But I just appreciate you for listening. Like always, you're the realest if you made it to this point in the video. And I can't thank you enough. Bye, guys.